These are the headlines we're following at this hour. As Typhoon Khanun is set to make landfall on the Korean peninsula on Thursday, the country now is under its influence, with the southern region first to be hit. And after the evacuation from the Saemangeum campsite over Typhoon Khanun, the World Scout Jamboree continues as a Korea Jamboree with various cultural activities across the country. South Korea is set to reduce regulations on building bonded warehouses storing intermediate trade goods while simplifying customs on imported goods there in a bid to boost exports. Good afternoon. Typhoon Khanun is approaching South Korea's southern coast, packing strong winds. After it makes landfall on Thursday, the sixth typhoon of the year is set to pass through the whole of the peninsula. The country is already under its influence, with Jeju and the southern regions the first to be affected. Our Kim Jung-sil has the latest.
South Korea is bracing for Typhoon Khanun. The typhoon is moving slowly from waters southwest Japan's Kagoshima prefecture and is expected to make landfall on South Korea's southern coast on Thursday morning. Khanun will pass waters to the east of Jeju Island early on Thursday and will reach the southern coast of Gyeongsangnam-do province on Thursday morning before moving further up the peninsula. Its maximum wind speed is estimated at up to 126 kilometers per hour, with its central pressure at 970 hectopascals. South Korean weather experts say the wind is something to watch out for.
Just imagine being in a car that's going 126 kilometers per hour without any windshield. You can imagine the level of the winds.
The South Korean government has raised its typhoon alert level on Tuesday to the highest serious and initiated a level 3 emergency operation of the disaster response headquarters, which is also the highest. With the typhoon first affecting Jeju Island, a high wind advisory has been issued for coastal areas surrounding the island, and a strong wind advisory has been issued for Jeju and its southern coastal regions. The island is forecast to see strong wind and rain from Wednesday afternoon. Up to 400 millimeters of rainfall is expected in Jeju Island until Thursday. Korean Air has suspended all flights to and from the island from 6 p.m. Wednesday. But weather experts say it's possible the typhoon will lose its strength as it moves up the peninsula.
The typhoon is expected to maintain its strength and move northward towards South Korea due to the high sea surface temperatures in the seas south of the country. However, as the typhoon comes inland, it will weaken rapidly as the latent heat supply of warm water from the ocean stops and the frictional forces are enhanced by the surface conditions.
He added that from Friday, South Korea will slowly be out of Khanun's influence. Experts strongly advise people to stay away from coastal areas, reservoirs, and underground areas. Strong wind will lead to high waves at sea, so caution is necessary for those living near the coast. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, after typhoon fears forced the campsite in Saemangeum to close, the World Scout Jamboree continues in other parts of the country, with tens of thousands of Scout members taking part in a variety of programs learning Korean culture. It was now become the K-Culture Jamboree. Lee Seung-jae has more.
A bus arrives and Scouts from Bulgaria disembark. They left the Saemangeum campsite earlier in the day, bound for Sejong City. After a brief welcome ceremony at City Hall, a commemorative photo is taken in front of the statue of King Sejong the Great. Before checking out other cultural activities, the Scout members enjoy a nice Korean meal.
Although I'm not very used to spicy food, it is quite welcoming. I really enjoy it.
After spending most of the World Scout Jamboree in the intense heat, Scout members are enjoying fun cultural activities indoors, where it's nice and cool. And there's a wide range of activities the Scouts can enjoy, whether it be indoor rock climbing, creating figurines using a 3D pen, or even learning to make popular Korean dishes like tteokbokki.
But here in Sejong City, it's really nice. We really like it. All of the kids are experiencing very nice things here. So thank you for your really nice accommodating us here.
After leaving Saemangeum, some 10,000 Scouts arrived in the Chungcheongdo province region. They will be staying in dormitories, temples, and corporate training centers, away from the intense heat and the typhoon that's headed towards Korea.
It's nice, cool, comfortable, and I'm really happy with this place. I'm thankful for staying here. It's amazing. Finally get to rest my back a bit.
And potentially a highlight for many of the young scouts is the upcoming K-pop concert that will now go ahead at the Seoul World Cup Stadium this Friday. According to the Culture Ministry on Tuesday, the decision to move the concert from Jeonju World Cup Stadium was made with the stadium's proximity to the Jamboree participants' new accommodation and security in mind. The Seoul World Cup Stadium will host both the K-pop concert and the closing ceremony, with some of the biggest K-pop artists scheduled to perform. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, those who pulled out of the Jamboree early because of the extreme heat and sanitary issues are also carrying on with their activities here in the country. That includes the UK Scouts who took the chance to pay tribute to the Korean War veterans from their country, which was among the biggest contributors. Our Choi Min-jung has more.
A variety of tourism programs are being put on for World Scout Jamboree participants who decided to leave the Saemangeum camping site located on South Korea's west coast. As one of the alternative programs, the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs on Tuesday launched a 3-day peace camp for British Scouts so that they can still get the most out of their time in South Korea. Around 1,200 British Scouts are participating in the program until Thursday, where they will learn about the contribution of British soldiers who fought in the Korean War. Their first stop is Gloucester Hill Memorial Park in Paju. It was built in memory of the British soldiers who fought and died during the Battle of the Imjin River in 1951. Putting aside their disappointment, the Scouts pay tribute to their British military service members who sacrificed their lives during the Korean War.
It's an honour to be here. I'm speechless, to be honest with you, but it's an absolute honour to be here and to represent the UK as well as to be amazing.
I think it's great being able to experience this Korean culture, and it's nice to learn about it and see how the Koreans feel about it and see our involvement in it.
The program meant a lot to the unit leader as his grandfather actually fought in the Korean War.
Very emotional for me because he died last year, and also he was the first Scouter in our family. So to come to Korea with the Scouts and to be able to do this, incredibly special.
The Jamboree members also took a tour of the War Memorial of Korea and visited Seoul National Cemetery. The Veterans Minister said he hopes that the program will be a precious opportunity for the young British Scouts to experience South Korea, a country that was built through the sacrifice and dedication of troops 70 years ago. Nearly 4,500 British Scouts, the largest group of all the Scout contingents currently visiting South Korea, left the Jamboree site in Saemangeum for Seoul over the weekend, amid mounting safety concerns stemming from a sweltering heatwave and the oncoming typhoon. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
In other news, returning early from his summer vacation, President Yoon chaired a meeting on ramping up South Korea's defense innovation to counter what he calls North Korea's asymmetric military capabilities. Our Oh Soo-young tells us more.
Faced with unprecedented danger from a nuclear North Korea, President Yoon says South Korea must strengthen its military power, including through offensive drone capabilities, to thwart and deter any form of attack. Presiding over a meeting of the Defense Innovation Committee on Tuesday, Yoon said that North Korea is quickly developing asymmetric capabilities in nuclear weapons, missiles, cyberspace and unmanned aerial vehicles, making it the South's utmost priority to revamp its military strategy and operational concepts.
우리 군의 군사 전략은 북한의 핵 미사일 위협을 억제하고 북한의 핵 미사일 도발 시 한미 동맹의 즉각적이고 압도적인 대응을 통해 위협의 근원을 조기에 제거할 수 있도록 수립되어야 할 것입니다.
Yoon said the South Korean military must be transformed into a strong, formidable force, particularly with the Drones Operation Command to be launched next month. Pyongyang in December last year flew 5 drones across the inter-Korean border, with one device even breaching the no-fly zone surrounding the presidential office in central Seoul. Since then, the military has scrambled to set up a drone command under the president's orders, with a law passed in June to establish the body, which will execute both defensive and offensive military operations. Yoon highlighted the effective use of the military budget in the country's mid-term defense plan to best reinforce the country's deterrence and response to North Korea's threats. This comes as the Defense Innovation Committee's Vice Chair, retired 4-star General Kim Kwan-jin, warned that North Korea's nuclear capabilities make today the most dangerous point in time since the 1950-53 Korean War, making it necessary to prepare for various scenarios involving Pyongyang's use of nuclear weapons. Countermeasures discussed included prioritizing the strengthening of Seoul's three-axis system to prevent, preempt, defend and retaliate against North Korea's attacks, and the deployment of US strategic nuclear assets to the Korean peninsula. Chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Kim Seung-geum pledged to develop plans and procedures to integrate the South's conventional capabilities and the United States' extended deterrence. This marks the committee's second meeting since its launch in May, tasked with fostering defense innovation, promoting public and private cooperation, and securing a budget to build a stronger military based on cutting-edge technologies. 오수영, Arirang News.
South Korea is set to reduce regulations on building bonded warehouses that store intermediate trade goods while simplifying customs on imported goods there in a bid to boost exports, along with measures to diversify export items, namely pet-related products. Lee Soo-jin reports.
South Korea's government is continuing its push to boost the nation's exports. Finance Minister Chu Kyung-ho on Wednesday held an emergency meeting on the economy with related ministers and said that the government will diversify exports and ease regulations as exports show signs of recovery. According to preliminary data from the Bank of Korea on Tuesday, South Korea recorded a current account surplus of $5.9 billion in June, marking a surplus for the second consecutive month. The minister, however, emphasized that the government will continue to remain vigilant.
We plan to remain attentive given the uncertainties in the global economy, such as the potential delayed boost from China's reopening.
One area that is set to receive increased support as part of plans to diversify export items is the pet care industry. The Agricultural Ministry announced during the emergency economic meeting that its goal is to more than triple the value of pet food exports from $149 million last year to $500 million in 2027. To do this, it plans to establish a more specific pet food classification system for the different types of pet food, as well as nutrients in the pet food to further set it apart from animal feed. The ministry will also expand safety evaluation and registration of raw materials to assist development in the pet food industry. The government is also aiming to increase exports of intelligent home systems. Intelligent home systems connect various home appliances such as lights and doors so that homeowners can control them all under one unified AI-based system. The Ministry of Science and ICT said that it plans to establish an internationally accredited laboratory in Korea by the end of the year to help intelligent home system companies compete in the global market. The government will also ease regulations at bonded warehouses where imported dutiable goods are stored to enhance exports in high-tech industries. The Korea Customs Service plans to allow companies to assemble, repair, and package in addition to storing items at these warehouses and also make it easier for local firms to obtain licenses to establish new bonded warehouses. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea has seen the smallest on-year increase in 29 months in the number of people employed in July. This largely due to the record torrential rain during the monsoon season, taking its toll on the construction, fisheries, and farming sectors. Our An Sung-jin explains.
28.68 million people were employed in South Korea in July, according to Statistics Korea on Wednesday. That figure is an increase of more than 210,000 compared to the same month the year before. However, it's a sharp slowdown when compared to the pace of increases seen since the beginning of 2023, when gains in the 300 to 400,000 range were recorded. July saw the smallest increase since February 2021.
With the increasing demand for daycare services and more outdoor activities resuming, a rise in the number of people in employment continues. But due to the monsoon and the sluggish construction market, the on-year increase dropped compared to June.
South Korea's unemployment rate dropped 0.2 percentage points to 2.7%, the lowest recorded for any July since 1999. The employment rate for those aged 15 to 64 saw an on-year increase to 69.6%. A detailed breakdown, however, indicates that for those in their 20s, the employment rate has dipped for the 9th consecutive month, while the rate for those in their 40s saw a drop for the 13th consecutive month. In terms of individual sectors, healthcare and social assistance, as well as leisure and restaurant services, all saw job additions. The construction and agriculture and fisheries sectors saw a downturn compared to the previous year, mainly due to the severe weather conditions that hit the peninsula. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
As South Korea is bracing for the typhoon, the country has also witnessed extreme heat for the past few weeks, with all being affected, including the animals at the zoo. Our Shin Se-byuk tells us how they've been coping with the sweltering conditions.
The otters and sea lions are staying put in the cool waters, not even considering stepping out into the blazing sun. As sweltering conditions continue, animals can get easily exhausted. So they have been offered special meals and treats to help them stay strong and active during this heat wave. Fresh salmon and frozen mackerel for sea lions. Fooling around with some ice blocks makes it more fun.
Animals get exhausted just like us, so we provide these treats, much like how we enjoy ice cream to cool us down.
The hippos are seeking refuge in the shade while munching on refreshing icy fruits. Magnificent Asian elephants are fed with bananas and pineapples. Mouth-watering treats are keeping them cool. Asian black bears are relaxing in the cool water while savoring a meal in the ice bucket.
I was a bit concerned about the animals, but seeing the zoo offer these treats is reassuring.
The animals look refreshed when munching on watermelons.
The summertime heat is wearing out zoo animals, but they can find comfort in juicy fruits and frozen treats, providing a brief escape from this exhausting weather. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Niger, coup leaders have refused to let a senior United States diplomat meet with the nation's ousted president. U.S. Acting Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland was denied access to ousted President Mohamed Bazoum on Monday. She said she also stressed U.S. concern for the welfare of Mr. Bazoum, who she said was being detained with his wife and son. She held 2 hours of talks with leaders of the military takeover in the capital Niamey. Nuland was also unable to pressure the military leaders to return the country to civilian rule. Niger stands to lose U.S. assistance and military aid if Washington determines that its elected government was toppled using unconstitutional means. The U.S. has troops stationed in Niger, serving as a counter-terrorist outpost in West Africa. In Pakistan, jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been banned from holding political office for the next 5 years, and he will lose his seat as an MP in Parliament. This follows an announcement by the country's election commission on Tuesday. It comes days after Khan was sentenced to 3 years in prison for illegally selling state gifts during his tenure as PM. But Khan says the charges are politically motivated, something the government has denied. The former star cricket player was elected PM in 2018, but was ousted from the position in April last year after losing a no-confidence vote. A number of destructive thunderstorms across the eastern United States has left at least 2 dead, over 1 million without power, and grounded thousands of flights. From Monday, these storms sent trees flying into homes, tall roofs of buildings, and downed power lines, affecting people across 11 states. According to reports, a 28-year-old man was killed in Alabama after being struck by lightning. and a 15-year-old boy was killed in South Carolina after a large tree fell on him. The storms were part of a weather system spanning from Georgia to New York State. At least one tornado was confirmed in Syracuse, but caused little damage. The system has since moved off the New Jersey coast, but experts warn the region could see excessive rainfall. And finally, Colombia have reached the quarterfinals of the 2023 Women's World Cup for the first time, after beating Jamaica 1-0. The South American side won a tense match in Melbourne on Tuesday, after Catalina Uzme found the back of the net in the 51st minute. It was the first goal that Jamaica have conceded in the tournament. France also made it through to the quarterfinals after a dominating 4-0 win over Morocco. The world number 3 ranked team eased through to the final 8, scoring 3 goals in the first half in Adelaide. Colombia will face European champions England, while France will go up against World Cup co-hosts Australia. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. After days of intense heat, now the country is bracing for the severe tropical storm Khanun that's forecast to make a direct landfall. The typhoon is moving northwards over waters of the southwest of Kagoshima in Japan. Then it will arrive on Korea's south coast by early tomorrow, continuing to move northwards without changing its course. As it sweeps overland, the entire country will be under the typhoon's influence, with more typhoon-related weather alerts to be expanded from southern parts of the country as the day goes on. East of Gangwon province will get torrential rain of more than 600 millimeters, in Jeju and Jeollado provinces to see more than 300 millimeters into tomorrow. The capital will see rain from tonight into early Friday. The storm will produce wind gusts of 15 to 35 meters per second across the Korean peninsula into Thursday, which is strong enough to down trees and cause power outages. Please stay on high alert for the next couple of days. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Now back to Typhoon Khanun and why we need to be on extra alert. Usually a typhoon loses its intensity as it passes over inland regions, but Khanun will remain strong enough to pull up a tree. It's because of the warmer sea surface temperature that serves as a source of energy for typhoons. And that temperature is 29 degrees Celsius along the southern coast, roughly 2 degrees higher than usual. Khanun is also moving at a relatively slow pace, meaning a longer influence. And being first typhoon since 2000 to pass through the entire peninsula, the scale of damage remains hard to gauge at this point. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.